Hello there, EBIC Church family. I am greeting you here from my afternoon walk with our dog. We actually were not dog owners until just about 2 weeks ago when we added to our family a year-old mini golden doodle named Snickerdoodle. Here she is. I'll show her to you if she'll cooperate. She'll smile for the camera. Here we go. There she is. So this is Snickerdoodle, and we are out for our walk, and she came into our family right about the time that we all found ourselves with a whole lot of time at home and not as much to do. So we've enjoyed the entertainment. It's been good for us all to get used to each other together with her, and so we are enjoying this new life as dog owners. Well, while we're out for a walk, I thought I would multitask here and take the time to talk with you. Just give you a bit of an update on some things. Now, actually, I have no new program updates to give you, nothing to say as far as what the church schedule will look like in the coming weeks. Our staff will meet again early next week, and we'll make decisions then about what we're going to be doing for weeks to come. So nothing new in that way to talk about. So this is really just me wanting to give you some advice and encouragement as we continue in this strange new world that we're living in. So first of all, my encouragement to you is to continue to listen to the public health officials and federal and state government officials that are giving us counsel about how to continue to make our way through this time dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. So do the things that they're saying to do. You know, all those terms that we didn't know anything about a month ago that now we hear all the time. Social distancing, flatten the curve, all those things. Those are the things that I encourage you to continue to do and to do your part to contribute to. Simplest, probably most straightforward suggestion I heard came the other day from the Pennsylvania Secretary of Health. She said very simply, stay calm, stay home, stay safe. Good advice. I encourage you to do that. That's, for the most part, what we're doing in our house, and I encourage you to keep at it. Stay calm, stay home, stay safe. That said, I would really encourage you, while you're staying home, while you're staying safe, don't stay isolated. Be reaching out to other people. Maybe you've got family or friends who are checking in on you. Maybe you're getting calls, texts, emails, whatever it is. I hope that you are. If you're not, then I encourage you to be the one to reach out to family, friends, church family. Reach out to the people in your life. Let them know that you care and that you're concerned for them. See if there's anything practical that you can do for them. Let's not allow this social distancing to isolate us from each other. My wife Kim has actually had a daily back and forth email going with a couple friends, and so every day each of them sends an email, gives kind of an update on what's going on in their houses. That's been really helpful to her. Maybe something like that would be good for you. I'd encourage you to even go another step, and if you're part of a life group or a fellowship group in the church, obviously you shouldn't be meeting right now in person, but there are so many ways that you can meet online. There's Zoom that some of you are familiar with. Google Hangouts, Facebook Live, all kinds of platforms you can use. I'd encourage you to use one of those and to meet together virtually as a group. If you're not sure how to do that from a technical end, if you've got a teenager in the house or a phone call away, they probably can help you to figure it out. If you find yourself in a bind and don't know who to call, contact one of our staff and we can probably help you out or connect you with someone who can help you to use one of those tools as a way to connect with your group. And I want to encourage you to do something very specific. As a group, as a family, I want to encourage you to pray, and I'm sure you are praying, and I hope you will continue to individually, but I would encourage you to pray with some others. Pray as a family, pray as a life group or a fellowship group. Call someone on the phone and pray for them and with them, but be praying. And this week and in some of the weeks to come, I'd like to try to give you some specific things to pray for. And so this week, my suggestion is that you be praying for students who are going back to school online in the next week. So most colleges have switched to a totally online format for the rest of the semester. And next week, I believe, most local school districts are also beginning some kind of online instruction. And so I'd encourage you to pray for teachers and professors who are suddenly finding themselves having to figure out how to present material that they were planning to do in the classroom online. Pray for students who are trying to figure out what it looks like to be learning in a self-guided kind of way at home, and trying to figure out a new routine for what that looks like. I would also encourage you to pray for students who maybe don't find it easy to navigate a regular classroom setting. And now, not only are they not in a regular classroom setting, but they're trying to learn at home without the support and the help that they're used to from aides or special education teachers. And they're having to figure this out too. So pray especially for them as they figure out what learning looks like in this new environment. And then pray for parents, pray for caregivers who, on top of everything else that they're doing right now, also find themselves needing to be learning aides and support facilitators. Pray for them. There are all kinds of things that we could pray for. I encourage you to be praying for each of these things. And again, not just to pray for these things alone, but I'd encourage you to pray with someone else, with a group, with family, but be praying about these things. Our staff have continued to discuss how we can be most helpful to you, our church family, in this time. And so we're glad we've been able to do the live streaming the last few weeks. Looking forward to that again this Sunday. Our family ministry staff have been putting out curriculum materials and videos for you. I hope that you've been, if you have kids in one of those age groups, that you've been taking advantage of those things. We'll continue to do those things, and we're glad to. Beyond that, we've discussed, are there other things we need to be doing? And at this point, the answer that we've come to is no. That there's not really anything else that we feel we should or need to be doing for you. And let me tell you why that is. You probably some days feel like you've got information overload, like you have more to read or listen to or watch than you know what to do with. And we don't want to add to that. We don't want to be just one more thing that you have to keep track of and read and listen to and watch. And so we've decided that at this point we're not going to add to that and keep putting out more stuff that we're asking you to do. So I hope that's helpful to you. If you do find that there's something else that you could use that in a way that we could be helpful, then please let us know that with an email or a call as staff, and we will be glad to discuss any suggestions or ideas you have. But for now, we feel like it's best if we continue to do what we're doing and allow you to find the other resources you need in other places. Speaking of Sunday morning, we are looking forward to live stream on Sunday. It is Children's Sunday, which of course is going to look a little different than we planned. We're looking forward to having all of our kids' choirs perform, and that can't happen. But that said, we still have some special things for you planned in the service for Children's Sunday, and so we hope that you'll join us. 8:30 Sunday morning is when the live stream begins. And so you can check that out. The service will go about an hour or a little more, and then 15 or 20 minutes after the conclusion, the recording will be available that you can pick up and watch if you don't join us live at 8:30. So we hope that you'll plan to be part of that. Something else that you could do while you're participating in worship on Sunday, we'd be glad if you would take pictures of yourself, your family, whoever is with you for the worship service, and share those pictures. Again, you could email our office at etownbic.org, or I'd encourage you to go on our Facebook group. We now have a new Facebook group. It's EBIC Church Community. And if you're not part of it, you can find it from our page, our EBIC Facebook page. You can find the group, join the group, and share a picture of yourself on Sunday, worshiping together. And so you can't look around you, you can't look at the next pew and see people worshiping with you, but this will be a way to do that. And so we encourage you to do that. There's one more thing I want to share with you before I wrap up here, and it's hopefully an inspirational thought for you from Scripture. I the other day was reading from Psalm 84. And that psalm starts, "How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord Almighty, And then a little later it says, better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. Now those words were inspiration for a popular worship song back in the 90s. So when I was in college, that was a song that we often sang, and we continue to sing it in worship sometimes even now. But a lesser known part of the psalm says this. This is verses 5 to 7. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. They go from strength to strength till each appears before God in Zion. Now let me give you a few thoughts on that psalm. So the psalmist there is talking about pilgrims who are likely coming from wherever they are in Israel to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals of the year. And so several times a year they would make the trek or the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And it would seem that some of those pilgrims, depending where they were coming from, would pass through a particular valley that was known as the Valley of Baca. Now Baca could refer to just a dry, arid kind of valley, but the psalmist uses it in a different way. Baca can also mean weeping or tears or affliction. And so there the psalmist seems to be saying metaphorically that pilgrims going through this journey of life sometimes pass through valleys of tears, of affliction. Maybe you feel like you're passing through one of those kind of valleys as we go through this season in the life of really the life of the world, as we're all being impacted by this pandemic. But an interesting thing to think about, if you feel like you're in one of those valleys right now, first of all, notice that in this psalm, the pilgrims are just passing through the valley. They don't live in the valley. They're not permanently in the valley. It's for this pilgrimage. And so they enter the valley and they will get through it on their way to Jerusalem, their ultimate destination where they'll celebrate. And so I encourage you to remember that this valley that we are in right now is not a place where we are going to live, but we're passing through. And interestingly, for the person whose strength is in God, the psalmist says they don't just rush through this valley of tears to get to the other end of it. They actually change the valley. Isn't that something? Rather than just trying to get through it as quickly as they can, it says they make it a place of springs. What would it look like for you in this valley that we are in right now? Not just to, hope that the social distancing ends soon, but what would it look like for us to make it a place of springs, to change this valley? And then it says the pilgrims in the psalm, they also go from strength to strength. In other words, they start out the journey strong, and by the end, it's as if they're stronger. Rather than, limping across the finish line as they get to Jerusalem, they're stronger when they get there than when they started. Can you imagine continuing in this valley that we're in such a way that by the time we get to the end of it, we're stronger than when we started? Our strength is greater than it was before. What would it take for that to happen? Now, I could answer those questions for you, but I actually would just rather leave the questions with you. What would it take for us to turn this valley into a place of springs? What would it look like for our strength at the end to be greater than it was at the beginning? May we find our strength in Him as we continue along on this pilgrimage, and may we actually change this dry valley into a place of springs. Much grace to you all as we continue through the rest of this week, and I'm looking forward to worshiping with you again on Sunday. God bless.